The silent declaration humanity never sought conflict among the stars. When Earth developed its first functional faster-than-light drive in 2157, we ventured into the cosmos with scientific curiosity and diplomatic intentions. Our first encounters with alien civilizations were cautious but peaceful. We discovered a galaxy teeming with diverse life, ancient civilizations, and complex political structures that had existed for millennia before humans ever looked skyward. The Galactic Federation, a loose alliance of 17 spacefaring species, welcomed Earth with polite indifference. To these ancient civilizations, humans were simply the newest primitive species to stumble upon interstellar travel. Our representatives were given observer status in Federation proceedings, our opinions noted but rarely considered in galactic matters. "They view us as children," remarked Ambassador Elena Reyes after her third unsuccessful attempt to secure Earth a voting position in the Federation Council. Clever children perhaps, but still thousands of years behind their cultural and technological development. Despite this dismissal, humanity persisted in building relationships. We found particular kinship with the Arxians, a mammalian species with silver-blue fur and six-fingered hands that created breathtaking crystalline architecture. The Arxians were relatively young in galactic terms, only a few centuries ahead of Earth in development. They shared our enthusiasm for art, scientific discovery, and peaceful exploration. When the Arxians offered to establish a joint research colony on the temperate moon of Vega Prime, Earth eagerly accepted. Within 3 years, Nova Harmony flourished. A settlement of 8,000 Arxians and 3,000 humans working together to develop new technologies and cultural understanding. The colony became a symbol of interspecies cooperation, with children of both species playing together beneath the moon's lavender skies. The Dominar Empire viewed this alliance with contempt. A reptilian species from a harsh desert world, the Dominars had spent millennia conquering nearby systems. Their empire comprised 11 subjugated species and 47 star systems. The Federation tolerated them as an inevitable galactic power, maintaining uneasy diplomatic relations while privately condemning their expansionist policies. The Dominars had long considered the resource-rich Vega system within their sphere of influence, though they had never formally claimed it. The establishment of Nova Harmony was seen as a deliberate provocation. No warnings came before the attack. On April 17, 2189, a fleet of 17 Dominar warships appeared in orbit around Vega Prime. Their weapons targeted the colony's infrastructure with surgical precision. The shield generators lasted exactly 12 minutes before failing completely. What followed wasn't just destruction. It was methodical execution. The Dominars transmitted the entire assault across their imperial network as a demonstration of power. They took particular interest in testing different weapons against Arxian and human physiology, documenting the results with clinical detachment. Dr. Sanjay Mehta, Nova Harmony's chief medical officer, managed to evacuate 73 children, both human and Arxian, into a reinforced emergency bunker as the colony collapsed around them. The bunker's communication system broadcast their final hours as oxygen slowly depleted. "Remember who we were," Dr. Mehta told the frightened children as the air thinned. "We built something beautiful together. That matters. That will always matter." When the transmission reached Earth, humanity fell silent. For 7 days, no official statement was made. Grief engulfed every corner of human civilization. Memorials appeared in city centers. People of all nations mourned together. On the 8th day, United Earth President Amara Okafor addressed the global population with 8 simple words. They will regret this until their species expires. The Galactic Federation's response proved exactly as anticipated. The Dominars cited ancient territorial claims to the Vega system. The Federation expressed formal condolences but declared the matter outside their jurisdiction. Their unspoken message was clear. Your suffering is regrettable but inconsequential in galactic politics. What the Federation, and especially the Dominars, failed to understand was that humans process trauma differently than other species. We don't simply accept. We don't merely adapt. We transform our grief into purpose with singular determination. Project Prometheus began in absolute secrecy. Earth withdrew its diplomats from the Federation without explanation. Trade missions were recalled. Military vessels returned to Sol system. To the galaxy, it appeared humanity was retreating in shock and fear, exactly as expected for a primitive species facing its first interstellar conflict. Nothing could have been further from the truth. Every research facility, every defense contractor, every military installation across Earth and its colonies dedicated themselves to a single purpose. We didn't just study alien technology, we reimagined it. Fragments of Dominar communications recovered from Nova Harmony provided crucial insights into their neural architecture and technological systems. Within 14 months, Earth had developed weapons that could infiltrate Dominar networks without detection. Within 20 months, we had ships that could move through their territory completely undetected. But our most devastating advantage wasn't technological, it was psychological. The Prometheus Intelligence Division discovered something crucial about Dominar civilization. Their entire imperial structure depended on fear and public demonstrations of power. The massacre at Nova Harmony wasn't just a territorial assertion, it was a ceremonial display meant to reinforce Dominar dominance throughout their empire. These weren't merely military actions. They were existential necessities that maintained control over their subject populations. And they had scheduled their largest victory celebration in a century, the Festival of Imperial Dominance, to commemorate what they called the successful elimination of alien encroachment at Vega Prime. They were creating monuments to celebrate our dead. The first Earthstrike fleet departed without announcement or ceremony, 5 stealth vessels, each named after a child who died at Nova Harmony. They carried no planet killers, no fusion bombs, no conventional weapons whatsoever. What they carried was far more devastating. Network infiltrators, system disruptors, and specialized algorithms developed specifically for Dominar communication systems. The primary Dominar celebration world, Kextar Prime, was at the height of festivities when the ships arrived. 20 million Dominars had gathered in massive amphitheaters to witness the unveiling of monuments built from materials harvested from Nova Harmony's ruins. The imperial elite basked in the adulation of the masses as they prepared to release ceremonial recordings of the colony's destruction. The Earth ships didn't attack the Dominars directly. Instead, they deployed microscopic drones that infiltrated the planet's central network. As the celebration reached its climax, every screen, every neural link, every communication channel suddenly began broadcasting a single image: Dr. Sanjay Mehta, comforting dying children in their final moments. But the true devastation came next. The drones released specialized nanites designed to corrupt specific systems within the Dominar network. Not weapons systems or life support, something far more insidious. They began methodically erasing the Dominar's ability to transmit or record visual information. A species that relied on spectacular displays of power to maintain control suddenly found itself unable to create or share visual data of any kind. Security systems went blind. Military targeting systems failed. Communication networks collapsed, yet nothing was physically damaged. No buildings destroyed, no individuals harmed. The effect was catastrophic. Dominars across their empire panicked as they lost the ability to monitor their subjugated worlds. Rebellion instantly erupted on 3 frontier planets. Their military vessels, unable to use visual targeting systems, became effectively useless. When the Earth fleet departed, they left behind a message broadcast on all frequencies. You destroyed our friends. Earth ensures you'll never see clearly again. This was only the beginning. The unexpected reckoning. The Dominars couldn't comprehend what had happened to them. Their engineers worked frantically to restore visual data transmission capabilities, but the corruption spread faster than they could contain it. Their entire empire, built on visual displays of dominance and fear, was suddenly functioning blind. They could remember orchestrating the attack on Nova Harmony, could recall the satisfaction of their victory celebration, but could no longer share or witness new demonstrations of power. Something fundamental had been taken from them. not through violence but through precision targeting of their cultural foundation. Across the galaxy, species that had dismissed humanity now watched with growing unease. Earth's campaign against the Dominars continued without mercy or explanation. We didn't target their military installations or resource worlds directly. We targeted their ability to function as a cohesive empire. Every 21 days, the exact time period that had passed between the Nova Harmony massacre and the first Dominar celebration of it, Earth ships would appear at another crucial Dominar location. Each attack followed the same pattern. No deaths, no physical destruction, just the careful, deliberate erosion of another system critical to Imperial control. Their financial networks suddenly began randomizing resource allocations. Their biotechnology development centers found their genetic databases scrambled. Their translation systems started subtly altering diplomatic communications, transforming threats into confessions of weakness. The Dominars attempted to adapt. They moved their remaining functional systems to heavily fortified worlds deep within their territory. They developed new security protocols and isolated networks. None of it mattered. Earth had studied them more thoroughly than they had studied us. We understood how they thought, how they planned, how they defended what mattered most. They expected rage. Admiral Kira Chen told her officers aboard the EAS Meta. They anticipated the primitive response of a species they considered beneath them. They never considered that we would make them feel exactly what we felt. The systematic destruction of everything that gives their civilization meaning and control. The Galactic Federation, which had dismissed humanity's grief, now called emergency sessions. Species that had never shown interest in human affairs suddenly proposed alliances, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. Earth acknowledged none of them. President Okafor's response to the Federation's urgent request for dialogue was a single transmission containing the complete unedited footage from Nova Harmony with one caption: "You had your opportunity to stand for justice." 3 months into what the galaxy now called the Shadow War, the Dominar Empire began to fracture. Without their ability to project power visually, their control over subjugated worlds collapsed. 6 systems declared independence within weeks. The Dominar military, functioning with severely compromised systems, could not respond effectively. The first defector arrived at an Earth outpost in an unmarked vessel barely large enough for its occupant. The ship contained a single high-ranking Dominar military commander who identified herself as war leader Sevrax. Her arrival shocked Earth's military leadership. Dominars were notorious for executing their own kind at the slightest hint of disloyalty. "Your methods are incomprehensible," Sevrax told stunned Earth security officers. "You could have destroyed our worlds, yet you chose to dismantle our systems while leaving our people physically unharmed. This is not warfare, as we understand it." What Sevrax brought was invaluable. Complete information about the Dominar Imperial Council, the 12 leaders who had authorized the attack on Nova Harmony. She revealed something crucial. The council members had secretly undergone extensive genetic modifications that allowed them to continue functioning despite the visual system collapse that had crippled the rest of their species. "They hide in a fortress world called Nexus Deep," she explained. "They believe themselves untouchable while their empire crumbles around them. They do not understand why you fight this way." Admiral Chen received this information aboard the Meta with grim satisfaction. The next phase was already planned: the complete isolation of Dominar communication systems from the rest of the galaxy. But now a more precise target presented itself. "Bring this Dominar to me," she ordered. "I want to understand exactly how their leaders have adapted." When Sevrax entered Chen's quarters under heavy guard, she did something unprecedented for a Dominar. She lowered her body to the ground in a gesture that approximated a human bow. "My species has existed for 12,000 years, Sevrax said. "We have conquered worlds, subjugated species, and spread fear across this sector of the galaxy. Yet in 3 months, without firing a single conventional weapon, you have accomplished what no other species ever could. You have shown us something we never expected. Mercy is the ultimate weapon." What followed was unprecedented in both human and Dominar history. With Sevrax's assistance, Earth developed a targeted approach that would affect only the Imperial Council. Exactly 100 days after the destruction of Nova Harmony, 5 Earth vessels appeared in orbit around Nexus Deep. The heavily fortified world bristled with defensive systems, but they targeted vessels that never appeared on their sensors. The attack lasted precisely 12 minutes, the same amount of time Nova Harmony's shields had held. Instead of bombardment, specialized drones entered the atmosphere carrying a single payload, a neuroactive compound developed specifically for the Council members' modified biology. The compound didn't kill them. It did something far more profound. It rewired their neural pathways to experience empathy, something Dominars had evolved without. For the first time, the 12 architects of countless atrocities felt the emotional weight of their actions. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. The Council emerged from their fortress without resistance, broadcasting a surrender message across all remaining Imperial channels. Each member individually confessed to their roles in atrocities across generations of Dominar expansion. The Empire collapsed within days as subjugated worlds declared independence and Dominar military forces stood down. When the Federation Council convened an emergency session to address the unprecedented collapse of a major galactic power, Earth's representatives attended for the first time since withdrawing after Nova Harmony. Ambassador Reyes addressed the assembled delegates with calm precision. "Humanity never wanted this conflict," she stated. "We came to the stars seeking knowledge and friendship. The Arxians welcomed us when you viewed us with indifference. When they were slaughtered alongside our people, you offered condolences without action. You expected us to accept this as the natural order, that newer species must simply endure the cruelty of established powers." She paused, surveying the silent chamber before continuing. "What you witnessed was not vengeance as you understand. It was justice administered with surgical precision. Not a single Dominar died by our hand. Not one building was destroyed. Not one world was rendered uninhabitable. We simply ensured they could no longer function as an empire built on fear and dominance." The Federation granted humanity full membership the following day. The Galactic Archives recorded a new term coined by multiple species simultaneously: human justice, defined as the systematic dismantling of an aggressor's capability to cause harm while minimizing loss of life. The former Dominar worlds established a transitional government with Federation oversight. The Imperial Council members, still experiencing artificially induced empathy, requested to work directly with the survivors and families of those lost in their conquests, a form of restorative justice unprecedented in galactic history. On the 1-year anniversary of the Nova Harmony massacre, a memorial was unveiled on the restored moon of Vega Prime. Human and Arxian representatives stood together as a monument was revealed, not a statue or building, but a living garden where plants from both worlds grew together in harmony. Dr. Mehta's final words were inscribed at the entrance: "We built something beautiful together. That matters. That will always matter." Throughout the galaxy, a new understanding emerged. Humans were not simply another young species finding their place among the stars. They represented something different, a civilization that transformed grief into precision, that waged war without destruction, that delivered consequences without vengeance. As Ambassador Reyes later remarked to the Federation Council, "Humanity's strength has never been in our weapons or technology. Our power lies in our empathy, our ability to feel deeply for others, and our unwillingness to accept injustice without response. We hope never to demonstrate this strength again, but the galaxy now understands. Earth remembers its friends, and we will always answer when they call." Would you like me to create YouTube descriptions, SEO recommendations, or image prompts for this story as well?